Daniel Cross had worked on Clith Station for 2 years, and he had seen many strange things. Clith Station was huge and old, built like a giant ring of metal around a dying red star. It was a place where many species came to trade, repair their ships, and rest between long journeys. For Daniel, it was just another job. He repaired power systems, fixed broken docking clamps, and tried to stay out of trouble. But today felt different. The corridors of the station seemed alive with whispers. Merchants from 3 different systems had arrived, and the smell of rare spices drifted from the trade decks. Strange banners hung from the walls, showing symbols Daniel had never seen. Even the lights seemed dimmer, as if the station was holding its breath. Daniel had been sent to repair a plasma conduit in one of the high-security sectors. His toolkit hung from his belt as he walked along the curved hallway. The metal walls hummed with the sound of energy moving through them. His boots echoed softly. When he turned a corner, he almost collided with her. She was tall, with skin the color of pale silver and hair like thin, dark strands of metal. Her eyes were deep green, reflecting the light in sharp glints. She wore a long cloak lined with silver threads that caught every flicker from the ceiling panels. Daniel could tell at once she wasn't human. Her name, he would learn later, was Sarai. But at that moment she was only a stranger blocking his path. "Watch it," Daniel said automatically. He was used to rude aliens and short tempers, but she didn't move. She just stared at him, her eyes narrowing, her long fingers curling slightly as if ready to strike. Daniel shifted to one side to pass. As he moved, his arm brushed against her cloak. It was soft, almost warm, like fabric alive with its own pulse. The hiss came before he even understood what happened. "Touch me again," she said in a voice low and sharp, "and I will take your blood." Daniel froze. Her words were not a threat shouted in anger. They were like a promise spoken with ancient weight. The air between them grew tense. A few nearby traders stopped and turned to look. Even in a station full of noise, her voice cut like a blade. For a long second, Daniel met her eyes. He saw not just anger, but something else, a flicker of surprise, maybe even curiosity. And for reasons he couldn't explain, he smiled. Not a mocking smile, but calm, steady. "Sorry," he said quietly. "Didn't mean to." He moved on, but he felt her eyes follow him down the hall. Later, Daniel found himself thinking about her while working on the plasma conduit. His hands moved automatically, adjusting wires and tightening bolts, but his mind replayed the moment over and over. The warning, the hiss, the green eyes. He had heard stories about the Neythari, a race of warriors and healers famous for their venomous blood. Touch them without permission and you risk death. Their skin carried a compound that could paralyze most beings in seconds. Some called them untouchable. Others called them myth. But Daniel had touched her and lived. That evening, Daniel sat in the small cafeteria reserved for human staff. The walls were gray and plain, and the tables were metal and cold. He ate a bowl of nutrient stew, trying to ignore the hum of a nearby generator. His friend Juno, a short mechanic with grease-stained hands, sat across from him. "You look distracted," Juno said. "Bad day?" Daniel told him about the encounter. He didn't say her name, only described her appearance. Juno whistled low. "You're lucky," Juno said. "If she's Neythari, touching her could have killed you." Daniel frowned. "I thought their venom only works if they cut you." "No," Juno said. "Their skin can release it too, under stress. It's like a shield. That's why they're so feared. They don't like being touched at all." Daniel stirred his stew. "Then why am I still alive?" Juno shrugged. "Maybe she spared you. Or maybe she's curious. Neythari don't do anything without a reason." The next morning, Daniel was called to the trade deck to fix a malfunctioning airlock. The trade deck was loud and crowded. Merchants shouted prices. Drones hovered overhead, and the smell of food mixed with the scent of burning fuel. Daniel pushed through the crowd with his toolkit, trying not to bump anyone. When he reached the airlock, he saw her again. Sarai stood at the edge of the crowd, watching him. Her cloak shimmered faintly, and her green eyes seemed to pierce through the noise. Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. He tried to focus on his work, but he could feel her gaze like a weight on his back. After a few minutes, she walked toward him. The crowd parted slightly, people stepping away as if sensing danger. She stopped just a meter from him, silent. Daniel finished tightening a bolt and set down his tool. "Need something?" he asked without looking up. "You are human," she said softly. "That's right," Daniel said. "And you're Neythari?" She tilted her head but didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "Why did you smile?" Daniel looked up at her then. "Because you warned me instead of hurting me." Her eyes narrowed. "Most who touch me do not live long, I figured," Daniel said, his voice calm. "Still alive, though." She stared at him for a long time, then turned and walked away without another word. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in his small cabin staring at the ceiling. He thought about her again, about the way she spoke, the weight in her voice, the strange shimmer of her cloak. He pulled up the station's database and searched for information on the Nathari. Most of the files were locked or heavily redacted, but he found old reports, whispers from traders. Nathari venom used to treat radiation sickness. Nathari blood rumored to heal cellular damage. No one had ever proven it, but the rumors persisted. He wondered if it was true. He wondered if that was why she was here. The next day brought more work. Daniel was assigned to inspect the power relays in the station's upper sector, where few humans went. He liked these jobs. They were quiet, far from the noise of the trade decks. He was halfway through checking the relays when he sensed someone behind him. He turned and saw Sarai again, standing silently in the corridor. "You follow me a lot," Daniel said without turning fully. "You interest me," she said. Her voice was softer this time. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Because I smiled?" "Because you are not afraid," she said. He laughed quietly. "Who says I'm not afraid?" Her eyes flickered. "You do not smell of fear." Daniel finished his work and turned to face her. "Look, I didn't mean any harm. I was just doing my job. But if you want me to stay away, I will." Sarai tilted her head. "If I wanted you dead, you would be dead." Daniel met her eyes steadily. "Good to know." For a moment, neither spoke. Then she said something unexpected. "There is more to your kind than others believe." Before Daniel could answer, an alarm blared through the corridor. Red lights flashed along the walls. A voice shouted over the intercom, "Security breach on Deck 7. All personnel stand by." Sarai's eyes flicked toward the sound. "Your station is not safe," she said. Then she turned and vanished down the hall, her cloak trailing behind her like smoke. Daniel stood alone, toolkit in hand, the alarm echoing in his ears. He had the feeling his life had just changed forever. The alarms finally stopped after 20 minutes, but the mood of Cliff Station had changed. Security drones zipped through the corridors. Merchants whispered to each other, some packing their goods in a hurry. Nobody explained what had happened on Deck 7. Daniel Cross wiped sweat from his forehead as he left the relay room. He had been forced to wait behind a sealed blast door until the alert ended. Now, walking back toward the main human sector, he noticed groups of armored guards standing at every junction. They were not the usual station guards. Their armor was dark blue with silver marks. They were Nathari. He slowed his steps. Nathari warships had been rumored to arrive, but he had not expected them so soon. They moved like a silent tide through the corridors, tall and graceful, their pale skin gleaming under the station lights. Everyone stayed out of their way. Daniel tried to act normal, but inside he was uneasy. If the Nathari were here in numbers, the station could turn from a neutral hub into a battlefield. When he reached the human sector, Juno was waiting for him outside the cafeteria. "You see them?" Juno whispered. "They're everywhere now." "I saw," Daniel said. "Looks like half their fleet's on board." Juno frowned. "Why would they come here? We don't have anything they need." "Not unless—" He trailed off, glancing around. "Not unless it's about that woman you keep seeing." Daniel looked at him sharply. "Sarai? Is that her name?" Juno asked. "Be careful, Dan. Nathari politics aren't like ours. Touch the wrong person and you start a war." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. He thought about Sarai's eyes, her warning, and then her words yesterday. "There's more to your kind than others believe." "I'm already in it, I think," Daniel said softly. Later, Daniel sat at a terminal in a quiet maintenance room, searching the station archives again. He typed Nathari biology, but most files were locked. He tried venom blood and found an old medical report filed decades ago by a human doctor on another station. The report was fragmentary but shocking. It claimed Nathari blood could neutralize radiation at the cellular level, repairing damage faster than any known medicine. The doctor wrote that even a single drop mixed with human blood caused accelerated healing in test animals. The report ended with a warning. Unauthorized research into Nathari biology is forbidden under interstellar law. Daniel leaned back. If this was true, the Nathari were not just dangerous. They were a key to human survival in deep space. He closed the terminal quickly when he The hallway shook as a distant explosion rippled through Clith Station. Daniel stumbled, but Sarai's grip on his wrist was strong and steady. Her cloak whipped behind her like a dark wave as she pulled him through a side door into a maintenance shaft. "Keep your head down," she said. Daniel ducked low and followed. The shaft smelled of metal and ozone, the hum of power lines vibrating through the walls. He could hear alarms echoing in the distance, mixed with shouts in languages he didn't know. "What's happening?" he asked, his breath uneven. "A ship came too close," Sarai said. "Not one of ours. Maybe pirates. Maybe worse. The station defenses will hold for now, but it is not safe." They emerged into a smaller chamber lined with storage lockers. Sarai let go of his wrist and turned to face him. Her green eyes glowed faintly under the emergency lights. "You carry something that does not belong to you," she said. Daniel hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out the sealed vial. Inside it, the pale green droplet of Nathari blood floated like a tiny emerald flame. "I found it," he said quietly. "I need to understand it." Her gaze locked on the vial. "Do you know what this is?" Daniel shook his head. "This is not blood only," she said. "It is memory, it is oath. It is poison and life at once." Daniel felt a chill but tightened his grip. "If your people's blood can heal radiation, it could save thousands of human lives." "I can't ignore that," Sarai tilted her head. "And if it kills you instead?" "Then at least I tried," Daniel said. For a moment, she just stared at him. Then surprisingly, she stepped aside. "Do what you must. But understand, knowledge has weight. If you cannot carry it, it will crush you." Daniel returned to the human sector after the alarms stopped. His heart still beat fast, but his mind was racing even faster. He now had a real sample. He had to test it. He locked himself inside a small maintenance lab, one of the unused ones meant for testing station water. He scrubbed the counters, sealed the doors, and activated the privacy shield so no one could monitor him. Then he placed the vial on the table and stared at it. The droplet shimmered under the sterile light. It seemed to pulse like it was alive. Daniel set up his equipment, a small handheld scanner, a sterile microsyringe, and a data pad to record results. He worked slowly, carefully, the way he always did with delicate systems. First, he scanned the sample. The readings showed a complex network of proteins, far more intricate than human blood. Energy signatures spiked every few seconds as if the droplet was generating its own tiny field. Daniel whispered to himself, "Incredible." Next, he prepared 2 vials of human cells, one normal, one exposed to heavy radiation from an old experiment. He added a microscopic amount of Nathari blood to each. On the screen, the normal cells reacted immediately. They formed strange patterns connecting to the Nathari proteins. The damaged cells began to repair at a visible speed, glowing faintly as the protein spread. Daniel's eyes widened. "It works," he said under his breath. "It actually works." An hour passed. Daniel took careful notes, his excitement growing. He imagined deep space ships with crews immune to radiation. He imagined colonies on worlds humans could never reach before. Humanity's future changed forever. But a shadow fell across the table. Sarai stood at the doorway, silent. He didn't hear her enter. "You test it," she said softly. Daniel jumped but tried to stay calm. "I had to know." Her eyes flicked to the glowing cells on the screen. "You should not have done this. It heals," Daniel said. "Look at it." She stepped closer, her cloak brushing the floor. "Healing is only one face of the blade," she said. "You do not know the other." Daniel hesitated. "Then tell me." She leaned down slightly, her face close to his. "If Nathari blood touches the wrong pattern, it does not heal. It consumes. It becomes a fire inside the body. You are lucky you tested on dead cells first." Daniel's stomach tightened. "And if I tried it on a living person?" "You would watch them burn from the inside out," she said. Daniel swallowed hard. "I wouldn't do that. I'm not a monster," she straightened. "You are human. Humans reach for everything. That is why you are feared and admired." He shut off the scanner and sealed the vial again. "Then help me use it safely." Her eyes narrowed. "Why should I?" "Because I'm not your enemy," Daniel said. "And because you've been following me. If you wanted me dead, I would be. So maybe you're curious too." Her expression softened, but only slightly. "You think much," she said, "but thinking does not erase history. My people remember what your kind did before." Daniel frowned. "Before? We fought together once," she said quietly. "Long ago when the stars were young. And then we were betrayed. That is why we closed ourselves." "Then let me be different," Daniel said. A sudden tremor shook the lab. Objects slid off the counter. Daniel grabbed the vial just in time. Sarai pressed a hand to her ear, listening to a hidden communicator. Her eyes sharpened. The attackers breached the outer ring. "We must move." "Where?" Daniel asked. "Somewhere they cannot follow," she said. She motioned for him to follow. Daniel slipped the vial into his inner pocket and grabbed his tools. Together they left the lab and entered the maintenance corridors. The station was chaos. Sirens blared. Smoke curled from vents. People ran in every direction. Merchants, security officers, even drones. Overhead, the metal groaned as if struck by something massive. Sarai moved quickly, slipping through side passages Daniel had never noticed. She led him down stairwells, across narrow bridges, and into a low-lit cargo tunnel. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To a shuttle," she said. "One not on the registry." "You're kidnapping me?" he asked. Her eyes flashed. "You carry our secret. You are not safe here anymore. They will hunt you for it." "They? You mean the attackers?" She shook her head. "Not only them. My own council, too. They do not forgive easily." Daniel's stomach twisted. He was running from everyone now. They reached a small docking bay at the edge of the station. A sleek shuttle sat there, painted in dark colors with no markings. Its hull looked like black glass. Sarai tapped a panel on her wrist and the ramp lowered. "Inside," she said. Daniel hesitated. "If I go with you, there's no going back." "You already crossed the line when you touched me," she said. "Decide." Daniel looked back down the corridor. He could hear boots pounding, voices shouting in Nathari and human tongues. He stepped onto the ramp. "Fine, I'm in." Sarai followed and sealed the hatch. The shuttle hummed as systems powered up. Through the small viewport, Daniel saw the station walls slipping away. Explosions flashed outside, bright against the dark of space. Inside the cockpit, Sarai moved with practiced ease, activating controls and engaging the engines. "Strap in," she said. Daniel dropped into a seat and fastened the harness. "Where are we going?" "To a place your maps call Orban's Moon," she said. "It is a forbidden zone. My people do not go there anymore. But we will." "Why there?" She glanced at him. "Because it is where our past sleeps, and because only there can you learn the truth." Daniel leaned back, heart racing. He touched the sealed vial in his pocket. "You're taking a big risk." "So are you," she said. The shuttle shuddered as it detached from the station. A moment later, the stars stretched into lines as they jumped to faster-than-light travel. Daniel stared out the viewport at the streaking stars. The adrenaline from the escape faded, leaving a deep exhaustion and 1,000 questions. "Why me?" he asked softly. "Why not kill me like you could have?" Sarai's hands hovered over the controls.
"Because you smiled when you should have feared."
"Because you touched me and lived. Because maybe my people need to remember what we were before." Daniel swallowed. "And what were you before?" Her green eyes met his. "Allies." The shuttle hummed quietly as it exited faster-than-light travel. Outside the viewport, a gray, rocky moon loomed in the black of space. Its surface was scarred by ancient craters, and faint greenish light flickered from strange veins running across its terrain. Daniel pressed his face to the glass, awe mixing with unease. "This place, it looks abandoned." Sarai's eyes never left the console. "It is abandoned," she said, "for a reason. My people called it Orban's Moon long before humans charted it. It holds the memories of our past. It is sacred." "And dangerous," Daniel swallowed. "Dangerous how?" "Everything here remembers," Sarai said softly. "The stone, the wind, even the shadows. They remember betrayal. They remember death. And they will test anyone who comes uninvited." Daniel shivered. He had expected danger in space, but not the sense that the land itself could judge him. The shuttle landed in a narrow crater. Dust and small rocks swirled in the low gravity as the landing gears touched the ground. Sarai powered down the engines and opened the ramp. Cold air rushed in, carrying a faint metallic smell. Daniel stepped out, clutching his tools and the vial of Nathari blood. The gravity was slightly weaker than Earth's, making every step feel heavier and slower. He glanced at Sarai. She moved with ease, barely adjusting to the moon's pull. This place, it feels alive, Daniel said. Sarai nodded. It does. That is why my people abandoned it. Only those strong in heart and mind can survive here. Daniel felt a pang of fear. He had survived wars, station breaches, and mysterious alien species. But nothing had prepared him for a place that seemed to watch him back. They walked across jagged rocks toward a set of ruins partially buried in dust. The ruins looked ancient, carved from a G the crate back at Clith Stadio. The ruins of Orban's moon stretched endlessly under a dim greenish sky. Daniel and Sarai had moved deeper into the ancient structures, the heart of the moon still pulsing faintly behind them. The air smelled of stone and metal, and every step echoed across the vast corridors. "Where are we going now?" Daniel asked, adjusting his pack. He could feel the weight of the vial against his chest. "To the vault," Sarai said. "It holds what my people built long ago. Knowledge, weapons, and secrets humans were never meant to see." Daniel hesitated. "Secrets? That sounds dangerous." Sarai's green eyes met his. "Dangerous, yes, but necessary. You carry a power that could save lives or destroy them. You need to understand what it truly is before it falls into the wrong hands." They arrived at a massive doorway carved into the rock, covered with symbols glowing faintly in response to their presence. Sarai pressed her hands against the carvings, and a low rumble shook the ground. The doorway slid open, revealing a chamber filled with intricate machinery and crystalline structures. Daniel stepped inside, awestruck. "This is incredible." Sarai did not respond immediately. She walked to the center of the room where a platform held a pedestal covered in strange markings. "This is the core of the vault," she said. "It reacts to blood, our blood. It will only reveal what is needed to those it deems worthy." Daniel swallowed hard. "Then it will respond to this?" He held up the vial of Nathari blood. Sarai nodded. "Yes, but be warned. The core does not distinguish between intention and desire. Only intent and courage." Daniel placed the vial on the pedestal. The liquid shimmered and expanded slightly, flowing over the carvings. The crystals in the room glowed bright green, and symbols etched in the walls shifted to form images of battles, alliances, and strange devices. Suddenly, the pedestal pulsed, sending a wave of energy through the chamber. Daniel stumbled, but Sarai caught him. "It tests your resolve," she said. "Your courage must match your curiosity. Do not falter." Daniel steadied himself. "I understand. I want to learn, not take." The core pulsed again. A beam of light shot from the crystals, illuminating an alcove at the far end of the room. Inside, a small container floated above a pedestal. Daniel could see ancient inscriptions glowing faintly. That is the archive," Sarai said softly. "It contains records of human and Nathari history, long before your species even knew the stars. It is protected, and it will only open to someone worthy." Daniel stepped forward, eyes wide. "Worthiness is judged by the core?" "Yes," Sarai said. "And you carry the key." She gestured toward the vial. "You must place the blood here to unlock it." Daniel took a deep breath and touched the container with a single drop of Nathari blood. The crystals flared and the room vibrated. The container slowly opened, revealing a holographic projection of maps, star charts, and detailed records of ancient alliances. Daniel's jaw dropped. This is history. Secrets we were never meant to find." Sarai nodded. "And power. Knowledge is power. The core will give it to those it trusts." Hours passed as Daniel studied the records. He found designs for advanced healing devices, techniques to protect human colonies from radiation, and ancient treaties between humans and Nathari. One document, however, caught his attention, a warning about a weapon buried on Orban's moon powered by the same blood he carried. Sarai, "Look at this," he said, pointing to the glowing hologram. "There's a weapon. If misused, it could destroy whole colonies." Her expression hardened. "Yes, that is why the vault was abandoned. The weapon was never meant to be used again. Only those worthy can activate it, and only with a bond of trust between species." Daniel's mind raced. "A bond?" Sarai stepped closer. "A blood pact. It is a ritual of shared risk. One drop from your blood, one from mine. Together the weapon can be controlled or the knowledge of it sealed forever." Daniel swallowed. "You want me to share blood with you?" "Yes," she said calmly. "To prove your intent, your courage, and your respect. Without it, the vault's secrets cannot be fully accessed. And without access, the weapon could fall into the wrong hands." Daniel hesitated. He had never imagined standing in an alien moon vault, about to participate in a ritual with a species famed for their deadly venom, but he knew it was necessary. Then, "Let's do it," he said. Sarai guided him to a ceremonial platform. The markings on the stone glowed in response to their presence. She extended a hand, her fingers delicate but strong. Daniel felt a mixture of fear and respect as he allowed her to prick his finger. A small drop of blood fell onto the pedestal. He watched as Sarai did the same. Her pale green blood shimmered as it touched the stone, merging with his own. The core reacted instantly. Crystals flared brighter, the holograms expanded, and a hidden compartment opened in the pedestal. Inside, they found a compact, metallic device with strange runes etched along its surface. Daniel recognized it from the records, a weapon designed not for destruction but for protection. Its energy output could shield entire colonies from radiation, solar flares, and cosmic storms. Sarai's eyes met his. "The pact is complete. You are now bound to the vault and to this knowledge. The weapon will obey only you two if used with intent and care." Daniel nodded, awe and responsibility weighing heavily on him. "We have to keep it safe. Humanity and your people, both." Sarai's lips twitched in a faint smile. "You humans are stubborn, but perhaps you are learning. Courage alone is not enough. Trust is required." Daniel's gaze shifted to the holograms. He realized they were not just maps and charts, they were lessons. Guidance left by the ancient alliance waiting for the right minds to find them. They spent the next few hours studying the records together. Sarai explained the significance of each symbol, each device, and each record. Daniel learned that the ancient Nathari had once trusted humans with their technology, but betrayal had ended the alliance. "Your people have the potential to be allies again," Sarai said quietly. "But you must prove it, not just to me, but to my council." Daniel frowned. "You mean the High Council back on Cliff Station?" "Yes," she said. "They watch from afar. They do not forgive easily. And now with what you carry, they may wish to challenge you or even eliminate you." Daniel's stomach tightened. "Then we need to be careful." Sarai nodded. "We will. But first we must understand the vault completely. Only knowledge and preparation can protect us from those who would misuse it." As night fell on the moon, the greenish light from the veins in the rocks cast long shadows across the ruins. Daniel sat on the platform, exhausted but focused. He had touched alien blood, unlocked ancient secrets, and formed a bond that could change the course of history. Sarai stood nearby, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Rest now," she said. "Tomorrow we will continue. The vault has more to reveal, and there are others who will come seeking it." Daniel nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a spark of hope. For the first time, he understood the potential of humans and Nathari working together. Outside, the wind howled through the ruins. The heart of the moon pulsed faintly, as if approving the bond that had been formed. Daniel knew this was only the beginning. Danger awaited, both from the attackers and from those who had long forgotten the ancient alliance. But for now, he and Sarai had achieved something extraordinary. Together they had unlocked knowledge, formed trust, and taken the first step toward a future neither species could face alone. The ruins of Orban's moon trembled under the distant rumble of approaching ships. Daniel and Sarai stood on the platform near the vault's core, the metallic device glowing faintly in response to the blood pact they had formed. Outside, green-tinged dust swirled in low gravity, carried by a wind that whispered through jagged stone structures. Sarai's gaze swept the horizon. "They are coming," she said quietly. "The attackers, and possibly members of my own council. They know what you carry." Daniel's stomach tightened. "Then we don't have much time," she nodded. "Time has never been our ally, but courage and trust are what will save us now." Daniel adjusted the harness of his pack, keeping the vial of Nathari blood close. He had grown used to the alien weight, the constant pulse reminding him of the responsibility he bore. "How do we stop them?" he asked. Sarai stepped forward, her cloak brushing the stone floor. "Not with weapons alone. The vault has protections. We must awaken them and guide the energy through the device." Daniel glanced at the metallic device on the pedestal. "You mean this?" "Yes," she said. "It is not just a weapon, it is a shield, a safeguard. It can protect colonies, stabilize radiation, and even disable hostile ships in orbit, but only if wielded by those the core trusts." Daniel nodded, heart racing. "Then let's do it." The first of the attackers' ships emerged over the horizon. Dark angular vessels, unmarked and threatening, glinted in the green light. Daniel could feel the pulse of the core through the stone, responding to their presence. Sarai raised her hands, eyes closed, and murmured words in her native tongue. The glowing veins in the moon's surface brightened, sending waves of energy across the ruins. The attackers' sensors flickered as if the moon itself was resisting them. Daniel stepped forward, placing his hands on the metallic device. He felt the energy coursing through him, tingling like static electricity. The core reacted, amplifying his connection. The holographic displays projected star charts, energy flows, and pathways for the power to spread safely. Sarai opened her